Of course, ABI members are in general insurance, where we offer car and motor insurance, we're life insurers who help people save for their retirement. But I suppose predominantly my reason for being here is to talk as an institutional investor, but also as a supplier of retirement savings products. Because clearly those who are facing their retirement years have been significantly impacted by what's been happening in the last 12 months or so. I think, of course, QE has been an important measure. I think we should have called it something else. I think the thing about quantitative easing is it creates this kind of mysticism about the subject, which means that an awful lot of people don't even try to engage in understanding it. In fact, it affects what people are going to retire on, and it affects the state of pension schemes and the size of the deficits. It's absolutely affecting the way people are living their lives. It's not just a technical issue that should be discussed by economists. It's something that people need to understand from a social policy point of view. And I have to say that I believe when it was used first, at least in this decade, that it was necessary and it did have a positive effect. I do believe that equity markets would have been lower had it not been for the effect of QE. And at that point, I think it did give people confidence. I've already mentioned the fact that annuities have been affected significantly by low interest rates. There is the other side of that coin. The size of the pension pots that were being used to buy these annuities were undoubtedly higher as a result of the impact of QE. But I do believe that as we look at its repeated use, I think we begin to move into territory which starts to become more negative. And I think that's where some caution needs to be exerted, particularly at a time when, back to social policy, we're delivering pension reform into the UK. We're encouraging people to sign up to save for the retirement, and the vehicle that's used to turn that retirement saving into income is predominantly the annuity, which has been so significantly impacted. Much of the discussion and analysis of QE has taken place, has already been said by the other speakers on the panel, at a very academic level. And I think the important thing for us is to try and get down to more fundamental issues, and also to try and understand how the continued use of QE might be impacting on confidence. I think the first point I would make is that whilst the discussion about pension deficits is somewhat, in some ways, theoretical, I mean, a pension deficit is the difference between two numbers which have been calculated on a set of assumptions. If we look at the economy moving forward, and if we look at normal conditions returning, then some of that deficit that's been created for companies and their pension schemes should unwind. But the confidence in the boards of companies, the dent in confidence at seeing that deficit opening up in front of them, is just one more reason why perhaps people are choosing not to invest in development and growth in the economy. And if there's one thing that we need to see the boards of companies in the UK returning to, it's that confident view of the future. And actually, in some ways, I think at the moment there's a fear that we're going to face another crisis when we stop injecting this help and support into the system. And so we're almost in a position of false confidence at the moment. And nobody really quite knows what it will be like if you start to wean yourself off the drug. So I think to a certain extent the time has come to start to face up to that. I think it's important to know that it's going to stop and that we can continue to be successful and rebuild the economy after it does stop. So I think a lot of what I was planning to say has already been said. I think where I'll go to now, just to allow you to open up the discussion to the floor, is to come to this point about whether we should be continuing to use further tranches of this. And certainly there's a suggestion that we have another one coming quite soon. From my point of view, I think I probably agree with my two fellow panelists that we haven't seen concrete evidence that QE has helped to generate economic activity. I think it did avoid perhaps some serious consequences when the crisis was at its worst. But we have seen significant impact on savers, and we'll continue to see that impact on savers. And I think, going back to my point on confidence, clearly confidence is going to return to the UK corporate sector as they begin to see Europe stabilise. I'm not going to comment on whether we're seeing that at the moment, but I'm certainly unsure that further quantitative easing is is going to help increase that confidence. And in fact, in some ways, I think if we could stop it and continue to see recovery begin to emerge, perhaps that would have a far more positive effect.
Got it. Thank you very much indeed.